Welcome everybody. My name is Mazes, okay? Welcome to this evening conversation to my podcast, Heart to Heart with all of us. This evening, I hope you all can hear me loud and clear. Can you hear me? Okay. You can hear me loud and clear. This evening, my podcast is titled The Igbo Entrepreneurship Beyond Market Demolitions and Challenges. You understand and you know that in the last couple of weeks, if not months and years, we have seen an increased number of demolitions across board, across the country. We have seen in Aba, we have seen in Onitsha, we have seen in Nnewi, and the, as we say in the street parlance, the Ogakpatakpata of them all is the demolition in Lagos. If you've been paying attention to this platform, you will know that 2 weeks ago, the Ohaneze Ndibo, led by Prince Oke Nwadinobi, led the delegation that represented Senator John Mbata to visit the markets in Lagos to see firsthand the level of destruction and demolition that happened in those markets. Ohaneze delegation visited the Aspanda, the Trade Fair complex, and the next day they visited the Mandelas, all in Lagos. These visitations raised one thing and one thing in common. They appear, as it were, the clips are still there, that there is something that is changing within the landscape, especially in the state of Lagos. Now, I want to use this episode not just about the broken buildings or scattered goods that we have seen. It is about spirit, the indomitable spirit of Igbo entrepreneurs, a force that refuses to bow, even in the face of destruction. When I say the face of destruction, recall that in Anambra State, and I'm going to say this and I'll link it to what happened on my Twitter timeline today. I'll see if I can actually pull that up. On my Twitter today, A young man was seen on Twitter crying let me quickly see if I can pull it up. A young man could be seen on Twitter crying that his goods were destroyed. Then he began to question if that destruction had everything to do because he is Igbo. And as usual, people began to, ethnicize the cry of the young man. One thing struck me is that I personally, honestly, I do not want to look at the ethnic narrative of that destruction, but I wanted to look at the human angle of that destruction quickly. And an interesting conversation therefrom ensued. And hence, after that, it reinforced my belief because it's been for a couple of days I've prepared to, have this podcast with us this evening. I will share my screen to let us review this engagement and the things people said. Because sadly, the internet space has been a place now since after the election that no one and many people no longer want to have serious conversations dispassionately without necessarily going into areas of, how do I put that now? Areas of political or ethnic colorations. Therefore, I would have the following to show us. Please bear with me. I believe you can see my screen now. Let me share my screen so that you can see what I'm showing us here. Okay, so here is the video in question. I want you to pay attention here.
They don't break other people. Why be saying only my own? They don't see this mosque break. Only my own because I'm Igbo boy. I mean, because I'm Igbo boy. Because I'm Igbo tribe. How they go break only my own for the whole street, full streets. For the whole full street, only my own they see break. They don't break any person you want. Only my own. All in the name of the one two road.
Okay, I don't want to play the whole thing here, but the person who posted this says is High Chief Lawrence. My shop was the only one demolished just because I'm Igbo. No notice, no warning, everything is gone. Man cries out in Lagos. When I read this, this is my contribution to this. I wrote here, the problem I see here is, even if government must demolish a place, why wouldn't they give adequate notice? Even if the occupier refuses to leave, why not gently pack the wares, take them to your office, and charge him or her storage charges whenever he comes to reclaim his wares? We must start treating citizens like human. Now, suddenly, out of nowhere, you see where someone says, show me anywhere in the Southeast where the government did this. Meaning, show me anywhere in the East where government give notice. So it now becomes the case of demolition. Again, I went back to respond. My statement was clearly beyond your comprehension. I can't engage you on your ethnic nonsense. I made similar statement when Anambra State government demolished innocent structure that damaged parked cars. I argued that government should have secured those cars and charged him for storage. Recall when Nnewi Nobi Road was being constructed, and we all wake up. Soludum visited in the Anambra State in London. He was still in London when that demolition happened. And there was an outrage. I lent my voice. I said, When it comes to demolition, we can all put on human faces. Demolition doesn't mean we have to take away our brains. In my state of Anambra, that demolition that destroyed brand new cars, zero mileages, yet to be sold, is pure nothing but insanity. In Lagos, when you want to demolish a structure, and this is one thing that the government must learn, it is not enough to demolish for demolition's sake, but government must also do the right thing. If somebody, if you, with for argument's sake, the people that have had their shops demolished say government has not given us adequate notice, even their houses. We've seen houses being demolished in Ikota, foams outside and everything. I do not think in any sane countries that homes will be demolished with people inside. I do not think that in any sane society that because you're constructing road, yes, the road you're constructing might be for greater good, but it does not make any sense in any way, shape, or form that in order for you to construct road, you get bulldozers, take off pavilions that will fall under cars and damage those cars. What any common sense government must do is to evacuate those cars. If you have given notice, 1 week notice, 3 days notice, 1 hour notice, 1 day notice, 12 hours notice, 7 hours, 2 hours, countdown, the D-Day is here, you come and demolish, then it becomes a question of, even at that point, you have absolutely no right, not in Lagos, not in Aba, not in Owerri, not in Anambra, does the government have the right to damage the wares of individuals. Government must wear a human face. Whenever government does something that does not wear a human face, that means that that government, in my view, has failed in its primary responsibility, which is, the protection of life and property of the citizens, right? So let's come back to my postulation earlier. My postulation remains that government must do well in protecting those that they govern. Again, like I said at the beginning, that this episode is not just about broken buildings or scattered goods. It's about the spirit, the indomitable spirit of the Igbo entrepreneur, a force that refuses to bow, even in the face of destruction, as we have seen and as I've highlighted here. Today, we will journey through loss, resilience, innovations, and renewals. From the bustling corners of Aba to the evolving market of Lagos, we explore how people rise again and again. Recall there was a time, they call Morocco areas, Makoko areas. There are a lot of areas that have demolished. There was a time, even Ochanja, Okpoko, and some areas in Ariaria was demolished. 2 months ago, I was in Ariaria market. I was blown away by what the former governor of Abia State started in Ariaria market and being continued by this governor, Alex Otin. And when I spoke to the traders told me that some of them actually lost shops. And in their anger, they told me to tell Alex Oti that he should not go ahead with what he was trying to do, that some of them will go back to their villages. That message was conveyed back to the government house, exactly what they told me. The demolition hits hard. For many traders in Aba and Lagos, decade of investment, heritage and communities went down with the rubbles that we have seen. You will think that some of these buildings are so strong, but the moment the caterpillar touches them, you see them falling like pack of cards. But in all this, if you know the Igbo spirit, you will know this. The Igbo have never been defined by what they lost. Sorry, the Igbo have never been defined by what they lose or what they have lost. A people that after the war was able to pick their pieces and rebuild a region so bombarded for 30 months is a people that you must accord some sort of respect only by what we rebuilt and how we rebuilt them solely, not by any help. Aba, as I was in Aba, often called the heartbeat of Igbo enterprise, has faced challenges before, from war during the time of Biafran War to the economic shift to government policies that ignored the local hustlers' sweat. Yet, each time the traders, the shoemakers, the fashion designers, the mechanics, each time they are broken, you see them, they return stronger. You then ask, why do they keep returning stronger? Our foundation isn't made of cement, it is made of resilience. And that is the story that we have here to tell this evening. And I titled the segment here, Rising from the Rubble, Individual Stories from the Great. Now, these are the stories. I met a lady named Chinwe, a fabric seller, whose entire store at Balogun market was demolished overnight. She said, I cried until my eyes were dry, but by morning, I was already online. I was already on my WhatsApp, various WhatsApp groups, selling through those WhatsApp groups. As I was in Aba, then there is this guy, Obinna. He didn't want to tell me that he's from Umuchu in Anambra State, but by the time he spoke, I said, one name, you must be from Aguata. He looked at me and said, how did you know? I said, because you spoke the dialect. A shoemaker from our area, his shop was torn down, but within days, he was sharing product videos on Instagram and connecting with customers in Abuja, in Accra, Ghana, trying to make ends meet. He was not broken by that demolition that affected him. Or am I going to talk about the story of Ngozi, who teamed up with 3 other displaced traders to open a communal pop-up store under a canopy? She said to me, Mazi, we had no roof, but we had each other. That was enough for me and my friends as she spread her hand to start. The stories abound. While the Gariki bus terminal was being demolished, July 2024, I was at the Gariki. I just came in with the public transport and I stopped and I saw that the Holy Ghost Park in Enugu and the Gariki was being demolished. The journalist to me, my bag still in the vehicle I went into to ask what was happening. There I saw a lady on the floor crying. I have been here for over 20 years and now the government of Enugu is demolishing everything, is taking everything away from me. What I have worked for. Looking at her hands, She was bleeding. I said, Madam, you're bleeding. She said, no, it's not about this little blood that is dripping here. Here is something that I'm losing. We exchanged number and I collected her number. 3 days later, I called to check on her to know how she was faring. She had a message that I should deliver to the Enugu state government, which I did. But surprisingly, when I called her 3 days later, she said, we've just got another shop. We are leaving Gariki and we are transporting everything and we must start and we will make it. 3 days. She was not broken. She picked her pieces. These stories capture something powerful. It's not just about survival, it's about transformation, turning pains into progress. In all the individuals mentioned from Enugu to Newi, Aba, and Lagos, none, none, none of these individuals were way down. None wanted to take their life because the government has taken everything that they had. No, they had reasons to continue. So, beyond the bricks, innovative rebuilding strategy, beyond the bricks that has been demolished by government, then I say that across Igbo, that across the Igbo markets today, innovation is no longer optional. If you do not innovate, you cannot survive. It is now a survival strategy. Communities are pooling resources like never before. Associations are creating shared digital directories, emergency funds, and online cooperative groups to track inventory and to connect customers. I recall during the days of my dad in Ochanja, they were nothing like Konga, Jumia, or any of these Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. They never existed. Yet their spirits were not broken. In today's market fundable, many, especially the young ones, are learning the digital marketing, cashless transaction, and delivery logistics. Many of us had invested in a motorbike, delivery system. Some of them crashed, some of them survived out of sheer resilience. Some of these traders are now diversifying, blending fashion with logistics, manufacturing, and some are even going further into export. Others are expanding their customer base to include the diaspora, connecting via Paystags, Flutterwave, and WhatsApp businesses. Oh, I recall so many good memories when it comes to, you look at the payments integration on Paystack and Flutterwave. These are opportunities out there. Ndị Igbo si na onye ma otu nduru amaha nduru. Do not hold yourself down and stick with only one direction. In the past, markets were built on stores. Even in the hinterlands, they are still built on stores. Now, markets are built on networks. The future of Igbo commerce, there must be policy and there must be progress. Beyond the demolitions, there must be structure, there must be policy, and there must be partnership. Community leaders and state officials are beginning to talk about these solutions. Recall that Anambra State want, has done enough and has done a lot in trying to give the issue of Igba boy a structure so that when a child goes to Igba boy a year, 10 years, 15 years, however that long that takes, eventually that child will be settled. And that child or that young chap, whenever he's settled, it's not only about the store that he or she has, but about whatever network that comes with it. Now, in all these things, demolition of stores, be it in Ladipo, be it in Aba, be it in Onitsha, the question that must bug you and I is, where were the planners? Where were those who planned and gave authorities for these stores and shanties to be built? That means we must begin to think about sustainable urban planning in order to protect traders. It's not enough to say, oh, this individual does not have the requisite CFO, therefore those shops goes down. Can't we plan and enforce? Because planning is not enough without enforcement. Can we plan and enforce? Recall when, I believe under Sullivan, Polo Park in Enugu, when ShopRite took over, in as much as it is in the heart of the town, I protested that if you ask me, I would not have built ShopRite where it is today. Because Polo Park was an open field, was a green area that was needed for that place. Till tomorrow, I do argue that ShopRite should have been somewhere uh, towards the new UNTH Enugu Port Harcourt Expressway, not where it is today, because that green area has been done into what it ought not to be. Or are we talking about the zoo estate that displaced the zoo that you knew in Enugu if you ever grew up in Enugu? The question is, sustainable urban planning must protect you and I and protect the traders. Now, we must talk about digital mapping of market spaces to avoid arbitrary demolitions. These traders, if these things were officially mapped out, shared, pasted everywhere, people will know, explain to people these are areas designated for this, these areas designated for that. We should not be having this at all. You know, like Anambra State Governor and other state government and in Abia and other places are trying to do, there must be micro loan programs and insurance systems that cushion small businesses during crisis. That brings me to when Mandela's caught fire last month. I say I do not want to dwell in any ethnic innuendos. People started saying, oh, they are burning Igbo shop. They are burning Igbo shop in Lagos, in Mandela's. I thought to myself, it doesn't make sense. Those Igbos do not own the shop. Those who own those shops are the Omoluabis, the owners of the land. It does not make sense that landlord would burn their shops. But now looking a landlord wanted to do something to hurt you. You as the businessman, where is your brain? Why don't you use communal or cooperative insurance? Install CCTVs and use communal insurance to protect yourself. It does not make sense that any slight of fire, people cry, oh, that their goods have been destroyed. What happens when you pull your resources together to buy insurance? If anything happens, insurance will pay. Yes, it may be high premium, but hey, it is better you pay for high premium than lose whatever you have worked for in the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years. If you ask me, that's what I think. So these things, if properly implemented, these can form the foundation of a stronger ecosystem on where traders are not just tolerated but supported as legitimate drivers of this economy. No matter what, the economy is still on transactional basis. Now, by 2020, By 2030-35, imagine this. From what is happening in Enugu, in Aba, and in Anambra State, imagine an Igbo commercial landscape that's not just surviving, but digitally transformed, globally connected, and economically unshakable. APIS is now flying into London Heathrow. This week, it will start Heathrow Abuja. That means APIS will have three frequencies out of London, two Gatwick, one Heathrow. If these three frequencies, you can now begin to talk of more connectivity even into your export. What is the conversation that we are talking about? Or rather, we should be having a conversation around cargo business. What are we doing? If passengers, for instance, London to Enugu is not there, direct flight, forget about your seasonal, that is your Christmas trips. If London to Enugu is not there, what is your part in trying to, for us to think deeper, the things we can export, not only importing to these places in order to drive the cargo traffic? Let's think about it. A commercial landscape within an Igbo that is not just surviving but digitally transformed, globally connected, and economically unshakable. That vision begins with how we respond to all the issues that are happening to us now, both at home and outside the homeland. I would then ask, what will be the legacy of Reborn sustaining the entrepreneurial spirit? So, what have we learned from this rubble, the demolitions? Now, I think that the Igbo entrepreneurs collectively don't necessarily, we don't wait for permission to rebuild. The community remains our strongest capital. Onwerebe ma n'ime Nigeria, ma outside Nigeria, that you won't see in the Igbo bonding together. That adaptability is our greatest asset. To the young Igbo entrepreneurs listening to me now, the future belongs to those who can evolve. If you don't evolve, you will be at the mercy of constant demolition. We must collectively, Mamunwa, Maginwa, embrace digital tools. We must collaborate. We must reinvent in our various communities. Our businesses isn't just means of survival. Our businesses must be our legacies. And to my listeners across Nigeria and beyond, we must support our local businesses. We must buy made in Nnewi, made in Aba, made in Ogun, made in Sokoto, made in Kaduna. All the vehicles are made in almost all the six geopolitical regions. Because every transaction tells a story. Every shirt that is done in Aba, like this one, tells a story. It tells a story of a family fed, a criminal recovered. It tells a story of an unbreakable spirit. Now, I say, let us pause for a moment. The Igbo entrepreneurial spirit is not in the buildings that we lose, because if it is, we'll keep losing them. It is in the hearts that refuse to stop building. Think about it. It's not in the rubbles damaged in Lagos. It's not in the stores and lock up shops lost in Aba, Umuahia, Onitsha, or Ado-Ekiti. But it is in that spirit of resilience that never stops building. On this note, I say thank you very much for joining me. I am still Mazes. Okay. I'll see you next time. Good night.
Ah, la, 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 la.